It's no secret that many mortgages are coming up for renewal in 2024, 2025, and 2026, as we've been talking about on this channel and many of the news outlets along the way. Now, I personally have a mortgage coming up for renewal in 2024, and that prompted me to make this video to go through what the renewal costs will look like coming from a mortgage from 2019 into 2024. Before we get into what those costs will look like and some ground rules, I'm Michael Luzas. I'm a realtor here in Toronto, and I help both sellers and buyers when it comes to strategizing their next play in Toronto real estate. And if you ever want to book in a call with me, click on that first link in the description down below. Just under 5 years ago, I purchased a property that I currently live in, and now I've been starting to get the notices that the renewal is coming up in a few short months. And that's what prompted me to make this video. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at where prices have gone from the end of 2018 until now, what interest rates have done from that same timeline, and what those costs look like when we break it down at various price points for a condo, the average sale price in the Greater Toronto Area, and we'll use a third price point to average out the freehold market. Let's get into a few ground rules before breaking down what these numbers look like. And the first one is that I am not a mortgage professional, and I would encourage you to reach out to your own mortgage professional on what these numbers would look like for you personally. These are just for illustrative purposes only. It's not financial advice. The next one, we're going to use a 20% down payment, and we're not going to factor in any kind of pay down on that mortgage. We're just going to use straight up the purchase price amount, a 20% down payment, and we're also going to factor in a 25-year amortization instead of a 30-year. And the reason we're not going to use any pay down calculations, because that could be different for everybody depending on the frequency of mortgage, what their actual down payment is, anything like that. We're going to keep things pretty simple for this video. The next is that we're going to use 3 different price points, and by no means are these specific to really anything. I just picked 3 price points that I felt are pretty relevant here in the Toronto real estate market, at least at this point in time. The last piece of it is we were just going to go solely off a 5-year fixed rate mortgage. Okay, so first up, the benchmark price performance over time, and we're going to use both the Greater Toronto Area and Toronto. Now, these numbers don't really come into play when I come to these calculations. I just wanted to illustrate a little bit that a single family home in Toronto proper is hovering somewhere between 1.5 and 1.6 or so. We're going to use 1.6 when it comes to that. The average price of all these properties is around 1.1 million. And in condos, I actually use 600,000 because there are a really good amount of condos on the market right now for $600,000 or less. So as we head into 2024, if we take a look at the 5-year historical weekly posted mortgage rates, and this is from WOWA.ca. They have tons of data when it comes to mortgages. The 1-year fixed rate in January of 2019 was 3.64. The 3-year fixed rate was 4.29, and 5-year fixed in January 2019, 5.34. Prime rate was 3.95. I just want to reiterate that these numbers are for illustrative purposes only, and they're readily searchable online, especially if you go to WOWA.ca or to RateHub.ca. Now, as we went through 2021, the lowest I could find here was basically in January, and these are some of the rates from back in January of 2021. These are the fixed side, and these are the variable side. Now, if we see what they look like at the end of 2023, kind of different across all the banks. And of course, there's different lenders available, but these are just from WOWA.ca once again, and just for illustrative purposes. Let's jump into the 3 different price points at 600,000, 1.1 million, and 1.6 million. And keep in mind, those are the purchase prices, and we're going to use that 20% down payment when it comes to what the renewal could look like if we take a look at what is illustrated on the charts. So first up, we have $600,000 of purchase price with a 20% down payment of $120,000. That remaining mortgage balance, $480,000, and of course, we're not talking about what it's been paid down to, because that could be different for everybody. And again, this is not financial advice, illustrative purposes only. This is from RateHub.ca's renewal mortgage payment calculator. If somebody had a 3% rate from 2019 or the end of 2018, of course, their monthly at that time would have been somewhere around $2,272. If the renewal comes in at 5%, the monthly would be looking at just under $2,800. That's about a give or take $520 difference per month, give or take, of course. If the new rate is around 6%, you're looking at about an $800. And if the rate goes up to 7% from that original 3% rate, you're looking at about a $1,300 increase per month on the mortgage payment. Taking a look at the $1.1 million mark, and that's with a $220,000 20% down payment, remaining mortgage balance of $880,000. Again, RateHub renewal mortgage payment calculator. At 3%, that payment was $4,165 a month, give or take, of course. At 5%, you're looking at about $5,118, almost $1,000 difference just on going from 3% to 5%. If you go up to 6%, you're looking at about a $1,400 increase. Now, if we're looking at 7%, you're looking at about a $2,000 increase per month, going from that 3% to 7%. Last up, we have the $1.6 million purchase price and 20% down payment of $320,000, and mortgage remaining about $1.28 million on RateHub Renewal's mortgage payment calculator. At 3%, you're looking at a monthly payment of somewhere around $6,050 a month. At 5%, that jumps up about $1,400 to $1,500 a month. And at 6%, you're looking at about a $2,100 increase, going from 3% to 6%. And then at 7%, almost a full $3,000 increase per month, just under $9,000 a month from just over $6,000 a month. I thought this was a really good exercise to go through what those rate payment increases could look like into 2024 and beyond. And I use a 3% starting point because maybe somebody got something a little bit lower, maybe someone got something a little bit higher, but we're going to use averages here. And of course, we're just illustrating what those could look like. There's a couple things that do stand out to me. And the first one is that even though the interest rate goes from 3% to 6%, the payment doesn't double on renewal times. I think that's a bit of a misconception, is that if the rate doubles, then the payment doubles. I think that's something that's really important to see as you take a look at what the renewal could look like. The second factor is that these payments do not reflect what would have been paid down along the course of the 5-year mortgage term, which could play a factor in what the current payment would be upon renewal. And the third, and maybe the most important factor heading into 2024, is it's super important to take a look at what that renewal would look like if you've gained any equity in your property. And in general, across the Greater Toronto Area, a good amount of properties have gone up in value in that amount of time, and what exactly your next step would be when it comes to the Toronto real estate market. So if you have a townhouse, for example, and you're looking to possibly purchase a house, maybe you wouldn't be able to get as much as you could have gotten in the peak of February 2022, which is actually 2 years ago, pretty close to now. And you're looking to make a jump into a freehold property, which has also dropped 15% from a higher price point. What does that delta look like? And would it make sense to maybe sell what you currently have to jump into the next one? And on the flip side, if you're happy with where you're at and maybe making a move does not make sense right now, and that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with enjoying where you live and enjoying your home. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below on what you think of these increases in payments, if it's what you thought or if it's different. And if you ever wanted to break down those numbers specific to you, click on that first link in the description. This is something that I've been doing for multiple clients lately, and just to get an idea of what things could be worth in their area and what it would look like possibly on the renewal side of things as well. I'm Michael Luzis. Thanks for watching.